and welcome back to the New Dig Norfolk Garden. A very warm welcome to you all. Now, August. It's been really dry, hasn't it? And really warm. All that rain that they said was going to come and all the storms, we simply didn't get here. Now, I know other people in the rest of the country have seen these storms and have seen big deluges of rain, but we simply haven't seen it. We've had the odd plip plop. So, how did our garden fare during August? This is the August 2022 garden. So, as usual, we start here in bed one, and you can probably see that Mrs. W's honeyboo squashes, well, they are. We have several of them. They're almost at the top of the pergola that you saw us put up earlier in the year, and it does seem to have worked really well, and we have so much of these honeyboo squash. It's a variety that we haven't grown before, but I know that there's been several people that have commented that they've grown it and say it's really, really nice. The fact that they're still sort of yellow and green, I actually quite like, being a Norwich City supporter. The sort of this half of bed one, what we have had is we've had an invasion of bindweed. And it does seem to have come from our family garden, which is just the other side of the vegetable garden. It's been contained really well there, but it seems to have creeped into here. So, although my plans were to plant in here over this autumn and winter period and put something in, we've decided and we've made the decision that what we're actually going to do is to put this to bed now and get some black plastic over it and leave it there until next spring before we plant anything else, to exclude all light and to help to control the bindweed that's actually in here. Also in bed one, you can see that we have the carrots here, and one or two have gone to seed. We have on purposely left these two go to seed because in this first row, which are the ones that do seem to have gone over to seed, this is a variety called Little Finger. It's not an F1, it's actually, you know, an open pollinated carrot, and we want to actually see if we can get some seeds from it, so we're letting them go over and see. When it first goes to flower, the flowers are a lovely white colour. Some of them are now starting to go over, and we're hoping to save some seed from this. But we'll let you know exactly how that goes as the year progresses and whether we do actually manage to save our own seed. Now, it's not all that everything's gone to seed. The carrots are doing really well. These were sowed. If you're a follower of our channel, you'll know that we sowed these first week of April. So we're still getting lots of carrots. This is a variety called Berlicum, and there is that. Absolutely amazing. I'm so pleased with that. It's the first year we've grown Berlicum, and yeah, so pleased with that. We're pulling these carrots every week, just enough to take down to the house so that we've got fresh carrots all through the week, whether it be to make trivets with or whether it be to eat. So yeah, really doing really well. Also, if you're a follower of our channel, you'll also remember that we told you that when we sowed these carrots for that are here that we want to have for our autumn and winter harvesting carrots, they were sown in June, and it is the right time of the year to sow them. You know, if you can sow them during June, then you'll have carrots ready for you during October onwards. However, we had really, really hot temperatures, didn't we? And here in Norfolk, we had 39, 40 degrees, and the germination was extremely sporadic. You can see the ones that have germinated because they're coming on nicely, and they are a variety called Eskimo, We grow them every year, and it's absolutely an amazing variety. It stands well through the autumn and into winter. Since we've been here, we've actually had no need to lift these carrots to put them in storage. They seem to deal with just being in the ground here all through the autumn winter period, and we just come and pick what we want. But I do believe with these hot temperatures we've had, even though we watered the drills, sowed the seed, it just didn't happen. So I think it was the last garden update, which would have been July, and we said to you we're going to re-sow some seed. We've done that, and you can now see that they're all really starting to come through quite nicely now. And this is the Berlicum, which you saw earlier. So hoping they're going to find their way through. Hopefully we won't get such a harsh autumn and winter, and they'll have time to make decent sized carrots for us to be able to pick and enjoy. So as I often say, you know, you have all the best laid plans of what you want to do, but Mother Nature, she's always in control. We're not, she is. And sometimes things don't happen the way you want them to happen. But we're ever resourceful as gardeners, and we can re-sow, and we'll see what happens. On to bed 2, and this is where our sprouts are, and the main sort of crop of our brassicas that will see us through the autumn and winter periods. You can see that the sprouts are doing really well. They're starting to get some buttons coming. When we planted these out into the ground, I know there were quite a lot of people, I got quite a lot of comments across all of our social media saying, you do plant your sprouts really late. Because if you do read the seed packers, they go, oh, sow in March and plant out in April. And myself and Mrs. W, we actually sow in May and we plant out in June. These were put into the ground towards the end of June. But you can see they soon catch up, and we're going to get a nice harvest of sprouts. They're well on the way. Next door we have our cauliflowers. This first row here that you can see that are looking absolute monsters at the moment, this is a variety called Triumphant. And Triumphant is known as the Christmas cauliflower, so it should start to produce its harvest during December and into January, and we shall very much look forward to that. Next door to them, a slightly smaller variety, but no less an abundance of harvest because we've grown these before. This is Autumn Giant, and they should start their harvest during October and into November. And then next door to that we have a variety of cabbage that's called Ormskirk, and Ormskirk, they should begin their harvest during December through January and February. We have grown Ormskirk before, we know it stands really well in the ground, so even if they are ready during December, they'll still be there during January and February. They really do very well. And then lastly, in this row, these are our Romanesco. And I think I did mention before that myself and Mrs. W have actually never managed to bring Romanesco to a successful harvest. But actually, these are looking really quite good. They've not gone over and looking good plants. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that this year we shall get some Romanesco to eat. Now, if we spin the camera around, we're on bed 3. And you can probably see I've got the tape measure out and the line, and that's because as soon as we've finished this video we should be planting in there some kale. Now it's a bit of an experiment for us, this is. We've never actually planted out our kale this late. What we have done before, we've sowed it in June and it's been planted out in July. But what we have found is that it's full of harvest in September and October, and it's of a time of year when we don't really need it because we have the runner beans and the French beans and all sorts of goodies that we're eating at this time of the year. And so we don't really need it then. So we're just trying to experiment and see, right, if we put it in the ground now, towards the end of August, will that mean that by sort of mid to late October, we'll have some nice kale to eat? Because kale is really good. Not just for its eating qualities, but also for its staying power. When you get kale in the ground, it will see itself right through autumn, through winter, and indeed into the following spring. And you just keep picking the younger leaves as they come and enjoy that. In the next 2 rows, these were planted out a little earlier, probably in June, and you can see we had a bit of problem with the cabbage white butterfly, but they are surviving. It's not been a total disaster. I would imagine that at some point when I've been tending them, maybe doing a bit of weeding, I probably haven't put the cover down enough, and those white butterflies have managed to get under and get in there. And these are cauliflowers that are actually in here, and these cauliflowers are Snow March and Owlsmere. Now the Snow March, again, you know, the title gives it away, they should be ready for a harvest during March, and the Owlsmere sometime anywhere from late March and through to April. And if you remember, one of our goals is to try to have a fresh vegetable that we can eat every month of the year, so that we always have something we can pull out of our garden and not rely on the supermarkets to be able to give us the lovely vegetables that we so desire. Now, what hasn't been so good is this bed here. In this bed here we have our swede, and we also put some calabrese in there. Now they did go in right at the beginning of June, and there's very small transplants, and then of course we got that really hot heat wave here in the UK, and I think 40 degrees has not helped these. They stayed small for so very long. They are still there, so again, you know, I tip my hat off to them. They haven't just curled up and decided I've had enough. They are still there, so I'm hopeful that we will get some swede. I can see that they're there. They look like carrots at the moment, but hopefully they will start to bulk their way out and make a nice round swede. Bed 4. Now, this has been quite a success. These plants went in a little bit. They went in between the 2 sort of hot spells that we had, so they were able to get really quite established before they got hit with the hot weather. We shall have calabrese, because you can see there's calabrese plants there, and they look much healthier. Also, they've clearly not been attacked by the white cabbage butterflies, so I've done a better job at keeping the netting down and those butterflies getting in there. Next door to them is a cabbage that we're growing called Winter King. It is new to us, but they're looking really good, and they should produce their harvest round about October and November. So remember, in bed 3, where we grow our Ormskirk, we should have cabbages that will mature in December and through into January and February. Both varieties are reputed to hold really well in the ground. The last video that we put out, which was how to freeze the beans, we did have a lot of questions around that, because we've sort of said, you know, we were going to produce some videos about how to preserve things. You know, you get a glut of vegetables, and you often do it this time of the year. And we put that video out there. We had such a great response. Such a great response. Mrs. W is really, really pleased with that. And, you know, she's so grateful for you all to watch our channel. So am I, whether it be myself or whether it be Mrs. W. But we have got some more on that series to come up. And, you know, we shall mix it about during September and October, which is a good time of the year because of all the harvest you're going to get to be able to preserve things, but also in with the things that we need to be doing in the garden. So thank you very much for your support and watching that. We got some lovely comments, and we've been able to talk to people. So yeah, that's been simply amazing. Next door in this bed, this is where our purple sprouting broccoli is. And in the row that's furthest away from me, this is the Rudolph. And any of you that have watched our channel before, you know that we've grown Rudolph before. It's called Rudolph for a reason. It's normally ready, it can be ready anytime from late November through December and January. So we tend to get that around about Christmas time. I remember when I put a video out there last year when we were harvesting sort of December time, people were saying, oh, you lucky thing you. yeah, you are lucky, and it's lovely to have that. But if you've grown a different variety, it just means that you'll be eating yours at a different time to when we are. And then all of a sudden I got comments saying, yeah, I grew this and I'm eating mine now, and ours is gone. So I've made plans for that this year, and in this row here we have a row of claret, and they should start to produce their spears during April and into May, which, as we all know, is the hungry gap. So if we've got a fresh vegetable then and we can actually be eating it then, oh, that will be amazing, because that will be the first time ever. We won't be waiting for the carrots that we've just sown or anything else that we've just sown. We can actually have a nice fresh veg. Hopefully that happens, and obviously we shall film it and you shall see exactly what we are getting at that time of the year, April and May. And if you are watching us for the first time and you would like to see how we have got on, don't forget to hit that big red button down there and subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications, and then you shall be informed whenever we upload a video. Here we are in bed 5. Bed 5 is where we planted our leeks, and much earlier on in the year, in May, we actually put our celeriac in. And I just wanted to talk about celeriac a little bit, because I had 1 or 2 comments from some people. We're approaching the end of August, and as we get into September, it's a really good idea to start watering these if it's really dry, because that will help them swell and bulk up to get to their maximum size ready for you to harvest during the latter half of October. And also, any sunshine we get, that does the bulbs really good too. So it's a good idea. You can see that some of these leaves, they're right on the side and the top, so just take those off so that the top of the bulb is exposed to the sunlight. If you actually look, there are plenty of new leaf all coming, so you're not going to harm this plant whatsoever. And if you haven't grown celeriac before, it is from the celery family. It's slightly milder, but what it does offer you is the taste of celery during the winter period. Because as soon as the first frosts come, any celery that you've got, that will be gone. It will be wiped out. It doesn't tolerate frost very well whatsoever. Whereas these, you can harvest those. In fact, for us, we normally leave them in the ground because they're quite good in the ground. They don't, unless we know there's going to be a really harsh frost. But even so, if you knew you were going to get that, you could harvest those and store them, in your shed, in your garage, in a cool place. They'll keep for some time. And because they get, sort of that size, when you're making your trivets or you're making your casseroles and you want that celery taste in there, you can just chop the thing in half and then cube it and cut it up nice and finely, put it in there, and you'll still be able to enjoy that lovely taste of celery that flavours our casseroles and our food so very much. The leeks, you can see they're doing really well. So pleased with those. They're coming on absolutely amazingly. If it's a really dry September, it's really worth giving these water, and then they will reward you with a super harvest. The greenhouse is still producing so much produce for us. Tomatoes, well, we've had so many tomatoes this year. However, at this moment in time, we still don't have a chili that's ripened. We have lots of chilies, jalapenos, and I'm hoping they're not going to be too long, because we do like to add a bit of chili into our cooking to give a little bit of heat. I did mention to you in the last garden tour about the aubergines, and well, they've just come on. Wow, they've got themselves going again, and we really do have some aubergines that are now sort of coming again. And I don't know if Mrs. W can get down here with the camera, but you can see this is away again, and as you can see, there are plenty of flowers on there, so hopefully we get quite a nice late crop of aubergines. Here we are in our open-roofed polytunnel. Now, we still haven't got around to putting the plastic on this yet. It is a job that will be done during September. But to be quite honest with you, it's not really affected things too much because it's been so warm and hot here in Norfolk that it's probably done things actually really good. There's plenty of ventilation, so we've gotten away with it this year. But as I say, it's a job that we will be doing during September, as we need to, the new plastic that I've bought, which will get the roof put on. And we grew the peppers over here in the polytunnel, and you can see that they're ripening really quite nicely and looking really quite good. So really pleased with that, and the fact that they have started their fruiting, for us anyway, here where we are, quite early in the year. And you can see these really are looking really quite good. I'm really pleased with those. And of course we're still getting plenty of tomatoes. There's a moneymaker, San Marzano, the red cherry, yeah, they're all still coming on. We've had actually a humongous crop of the cucamelons. And cucumber plant is still producing its cucumbers, and it's actually been quite an interesting sort of time, because as I say, this has not had a roof on it, this polytunnel, for the last, what, couple of months, 10 weeks, and this is meant to be an indoor variety, and yet it's still providing us with cucumbers. So yeah, been really good, really pleased with that. And the plant does look as though it's running out of steam, and indeed it probably is, but it's still producing us cucumbers, so good old Passandra. And just a word on the soft fruit, as you can see we've got lots of blackberries that are producing. This is a thornless variety, which I like really well because I don't prick myself when I'm trying to pick them, but they also produce really good size blackberries. And of course at this time of the year, as we now head towards the end of August and into September, you can see that the autumn fruiting raspberries, they've come into their own now, and there'll be lots of those for us to enjoy over the next 6 weeks or so, or indeed until the first frost come here in Norfolk. But other than our tunnel, you've seen what our garden looks like and how it's cooped during this prolonged drought that we've had. We've had very little rain really now since May, and it does seem to have cooped really well. There are some winners, there are some losers, but that's the same whenever you garden. But the tunnel is still going really well, and you can see I've got runner beans still to pick, and indeed the video that will follow this one, it shall be Mrs. W's runner bean chutney. The squash, well, they're doing really well. We've got plenty of squash that are coming. And I did say to you earlier in the year that if any of them came over the top and, you know, were causing a bit of a problem, that we'd have to support them. You can see we've sort of just supported this one. Before we filmed this was sort of down here somewhere. It was really pulling the tunnel down. And I've got a few more words to say about the tunnel, how it worked, what went well and what didn't, but we'll do that in a later video. But yeah, we have just supported this in order that it doesn't keep pulling this tunnel down, and these will only get bigger. And as you can see, the French beans, well, they're still producing in abundance. Such a wonderful vegetable, the climbing French beans. You can get so many from these plants, and you know, you can be enjoying a fresh vegetable all the way through the summer months and through into September. Yeah, it's produced plenty, but not a huge glut, which actually I'm quite pleased about, because normally we grow our courgettes and you're just picking them every other day. There's just so many and you wonder what you're going to do with them. And this is from someone that really likes a courgette. I like to cook with courgettes and use them, but it's worked really well for us. This variety has actually produced just enough that myself and Mrs. W can really enjoy them and cook with them in the way that we want to. Now, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do let us know in the comments down below how your garden has been cooping during all of this heat wave and the drought that we've had. Some of you may have experienced really heavy, thundery downpours of rain. We didn't see it here, but let us know. Did your garden suddenly recover and everything went, just as you wanted it to? Or did that not happen? And did something else happen? We'll all learn if you put your comments down below, because we'll learn exactly what happened in your gardens. I can only show you what's happened in ours. Don't forget to stay tuned, because the next video will be the runner bean chutney. That shall come out later on this week. I really hope you've enjoyed your bank holiday weekend. I must just say we really have. It's been one of those weekends we've all been waiting about. And my goddaughter and her partner, they had their first baby this weekend. What a celebration that we've all had. And we send our heartfelt congratulations to you both. Hashtag proud godfather. And I know they like to watch the videos. The king growers themselves, they put their first raised beds in this year and grew their own produce for the first time. So hopefully, you know, you'll continue that. And your lovely new baby daughter can eat just as healthily as me and Mrs. W do. We shall see.